Yeah, it is. You got Windbags. Let's have some fun today. We are just 40 days away from the Raiders' home opener, Monday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens, prime time, which means by the time you're listening to this, it will be at least a football day. We're recording this Wednesday night. The first preseason game is tomorrow. Football season, sort of, kind of, is officially here, baby. 40 days away from opening day.
Dude, it was like yesterday. We were like, yeah, we're 97 days away. And I said, listen, it's going to creep up. It's going to creep up. And now we're like a month and 5.5 weeks away from opening day or something like that. It's creeping like RJ's freaking short shorts. It's creeping.
Speaking of RJ's wardrobe, I'm going sleeveless today in honor of Derek Carr. Guy's always going sleeveless. He's like, he throws the football when the cameras are on him in practice the way like stunt men in like movies throw punches. Like they flex the entire time, you know?
Yeah.
I got to practice that. Throw with just all flex when you're throwing, just bricked out. Maybe a little grease on there too. He's got it
You
down.
know what? Okay, that might be the problem because I watched a video of Derek Carr throwing a deep ball to Bryan Edwards, who had a full step. He was pretty much NFL wide open, and he still underthrew him. So he's flexing the whole time. It could have caused him to short dick that throw.
You can tell he only does that for like, you know, no pads practice when like the media is watching, because he's got one of the best deep balls in all of football when it matters. So like he's like, all right, let me flex a little bit during like practice. Let me flex a little bit.
When he wants to let it loose, he starts short
one of the best deep balls in football. You know this. Real quick, did you see this? I follow Max Crosby on Twitter, and someone tweeted at him, Raider Nation just got a little bigger, and then a picture of a newborn. Named my son Max, 2 X's, Clark, after you. Hopefully one day he can be good on the defensive line as you. Would you name your kid? You'd name your kid after a Raider, right?
Yeah, I'd name my kid like Bo or Howie.
Because you can go like half-assed with it and just call him like Marcus or you know what I mean? Like they go, oh yeah,
it's gotta be distinct.
His name's Marcus Soto after Marcus Allen.
You know that's motherfucking Howie Long.
Yeah, Howie works. Bo is, you know, again. Are you sure it's not Howie Mandel? It's like, no, it's Howie Long. It's not so unique where the name doesn't exist in the wild, but unique enough where you can be like, you introduce him like as a 3-year-old to Howie Long and say, here's Howie. It'll maybe shed a little tear on his eye, out of his eye, you know?
But what you have to do, though, is you have to get that iconic 87 flat top, mud flat mullet combo. That was the sickest. So look, Bosworth stole his fucking look. Bosworth stole because Howie had the flat top first, and then he grew the mud flaps, the sick ass fucking mullet. So he had the high top mullet combo, and that was fucking legit.
That's why Bo Jackson ran his ass over in the end zone to get revenge for
stealing his
boy
look.
Howie for jacking his shit.
That's what I would do. I would name him Howie, and I would make him wear his hair with the flat top and the mullet in the back.
There was a good 4 minutes where the wife and I seriously considered naming our daughter when she was pregnant, when my wife was pregnant with our daughter. Mm-hmm. Autumn Wind Clifford.
I remember that.
There was a solid 4 minutes when it was seriously considered, because Autumn, you know, obvious, you know, that's a girl's name, semi-common, unique but semi-common.
Yeah, I told you not to do it. I said don't do it.
So Autumn Clifford, there's nothing weird there. But once you throw in the middle name, it's like
Autumn Wind.
Okay.
Like when a sub teacher comes in, Autumn Wind Clifford,
and then everyone goes Raider
down the hallways and shit.
Yeah,
love it.
With our luck, she'd go to college in like Denver or something, and it'd just be
everyone would hate on her.
Terrible cost of admission. So the big news in the NFL this week, other than preseason football going on, it's Carson Wentz injured his foot, needs surgery, and he could miss anywhere from 1 to 2 games to like 10 games.
10 games, yeah.
Like it could be a massive mess for him. So the Colts, you don't you want to feel bad for him, but you don't feel bad for him. Like they have one of the best 52-man rosters in football.
Yeah, they're loaded.
They just can't get a quarterback.
Yeah.
They just can't get a quarterback. So they just keep signing these like short, expensive deals with these old veterans, right? It's Phillip Rivers last season, Carson Wentz this season. Shocker beyond all shockers, Carson Wentz goes down again. He got hurt in college, obviously got hurt multiple times as a pro, got hurt in that Super Bowl year when he was like on his way to being like an MVP. Nick Foles,
blew his
Big
knee
Dick
out.
Nick takes over and Philly wins the Super Bowl.
Thick Dick Nick.
And it's been just a mess for Carson Wentz ever since. So the culture thing, like, all right, we got a loaded roster. All we need is just a competent quarterback. Just competency is all we need to go for. Even bad quarterback play, they're still going to the playoffs, right? Like, all right, let's get Carson Wentz back to his near MVP caliber level.
Mm-hmm.
Bam, he gets hurt right again. How's it affect the Raiders? I'm glad you asked, because one of the most obvious guys to pick up is our backup quarterback, Marcus Mariota. And I think it's conservative to say he's like one of the top 3 backup quarterbacks in football, Marcus Mariota.
Oh yeah, he's definitely up there.
He's easily top 3.
There's the Taysom Hill, whoever doesn't start in New Orleans. There's Mariota.
Depending on what happens in Chicago.
Yeah,
right?
Whoever doesn't work in Chicago.
Right? Like that could be. So it's like that kind of. But as far as like
also the Niners too, whoever doesn't start for the Niners.
Yeah. But as far as like, but I would also say like, but even then I feel like none of those teams would want to trade their guy because they don't know who their guy is yet.
Exactly.
Right? Like you're hoping your rookie is going to be the dude. You're hoping maybe your veteran can find, new legs in a new team or something like that. Like finally Andy Dalton will get his act together, whatever. Right. Like this is Marcus Mariota is clearly the only clear QB2, like the best clear QB2 in football. And for whatever reason, John Gruden's pretty high on Nathan Peterman. He gives him $1 million every season for God knows why. So
holding the clipboard,
right? Marcus Mariota would make perfect sense on the Colts because one, they've just been trying desperately to find a quarterback to like win something with this great 52-man roster. They just need one more good guy. And two, Carson Wentz gets hurt all the time. Like if Carson Wentz, let's say Carson Wentz is the Colts guy, right? Carson Wentz, best case scenario for him, right? He finds a great team, jives with the coach. Everything's working with Carson Wentz. You still need a really good backup quarterback because of his injury history. Mm-hmm. Marcus Mariota would make a lot of sense as your short-term option and your long-term option. And that's, I think, what Marcus Mariota wants too, right? Like he signed a great deal 2 seasons ago, 2-year deal, big pay cut this season. His contract's what, $3.5 million guaranteed? 3.5 pennies.
For a potential starting
quarterback. That's nothing. Do we trade Mariota to the Colts, and what would it take?
Yeah, I mean, I would do it because here's the deal. I really do think that our best chance of winning is with Carr. And even with Carr, we're a fringe, probably a little bit outside looking in playoff team. I'm trying to be objective here, guys, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to take my silver and black shaded glasses off. We're a fringe playoff team right now because we have so many question marks.
Yeah.
So many question marks up and down. If we had a little bit more stability and some of these questions were a little bit more solid, then I would be a little bit more confident in saying, yeah, we're a playoff contender. But right now, when you add the fact together that Carr is our best chance, and even with Carr, we're a fringe playoff team, if Mariota has to play, we're probably not going to make the playoffs, okay? Mm-hmm. So why not trade him away? Yeah, get what you can. It's probably going to be a mid-round pick for him.
You think that low? I think.
Yeah, it's not going to be anything crazy. No, there's no. You don't trade a backup quarterback for a second-round pick.
I think, honestly, I bet you we could get a second-round pick.
I don't think so.
I bet you we could. Well, here's why.
We gave away a starting center, the best center by PFF standards, for a freaking fourth-round pick or whatever.
Well, again, you also got to think time and place, right? Like negotiations, it's all about why does a beer at Rite Aid cost $2, but the same beer at Allegiant Stadium is going to cost us $14 because it's a seller's market, right?
We got to pay for that building, baby.
Pay for that, right? That's $2 billion to fill up. Who else are the Colts going to get? Who else can the Colts get to play quarterback for him for potentially almost half the season.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody out there. Their backups. Their backups are atrocious. Like the Colts literally went into the season completely banking on Carson Wentz being the guy and staying healthy.
And here's
they had no plan B.
When you get that big of a window, well, 2 to 10 weeks or something like that, or 5 to 10 weeks, or some stupid shit like that.
It could be. It was a weird diagnosis. It was like could be out 4 to like 12 weeks.
Yeah,
that's a wide gap, dude.
If it's something
that's weird.
Yeah, if it's something that's minor, they would be a little bit more solid on the lower part. If it's like, well, we don't really know what's going on, but we know we have to fix something, it's probably going to be closer to the 12 than the 4.
Yeah.
So I mean, hey, if we can get a second, I'm trying to think of like from an objective standpoint, I would go with like a 3rd or 4th pick. But if we can get a second for Mariota, I'm down with that.
I think we can, because who else are the Colts going to get? Like you said, like you're joking pre-show, like, oh, maybe Phillip Rivers comes back. Like they can't afford to pay Carson Wentz and Phillip Rivers. Like that's way too much money, right? Again, the $3.5 million that Mariota is worth is pennies. The one game he played in last season, he looked above average.
He looked good.
Looked solid, looked pretty good. Almost drove us down to a win. And we're like preseason's already starting. Like you don't have time to like develop an undrafted free agent. You don't have the money to sign, Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill or whoever, who doesn't play there or something like that. Like you need somebody who can be a very competent backup, a phenomenal backup, and a decent to at least slightly below it. Because all you need is a slightly below average quarterback for the Colts to maybe be all right. And that's
and Mariota.
That's Marcus Mariota.
Mariota's better than slightly below average. He's better than he's an average quarterback. He's an average NFL quarterback that has, if you put him in the right system, he could actually do pretty well. They have a good running game.
I think a really, really good GM and front office,
which they have in Indianapolis,
but they don't have in Las Vegas. So I was thinking about this. Like, if the roles were completely reversed, right?
Oh, we have three firsts.
We'd be giving it right. Exactly. Like if that's what would be happening, right? Like I think of like the Carson Palmer trade, years back. God. They're like, oh man, we're 4-2. Like we can really do something this season. And they trade the entire boat away with a coach that's trying to keep his job for Carson Palmer. Plays okay, but we all know how that fell apart. Like if this would be the exact type of scenario where the Raiders got like a trade wedgie by the Colts, because the Colts front office is so good. The Raiders trading it, they're terrible. If it were reversed, they'd be giving up like first to the Colts. But because it's going this way, watch, we'll get like.
I mean, they've got good deals. They've gotten good deals. They got a good haul for Mac. They got a good deal for Cooper.
That's true. Touche. When they have traded good players, they've gotten value.
Yeah, but when they trade for the players,
yeah, going the other way, they've been rough. So maybe I stand corrected.
The Steelers have raped us. The Steelers have raped us for wide receivers.
Yep. So I mean, hey,
we'll see.
We'll see how it pans out. I really think that the value for Mariota, again, his cap, his ability to play.
I would.
Amazing locker room guy. Everyone who's ever played for the dude loves him. Like coaches love him, coordinators love him. He can run the quarterback. Like he's diverse enough where you can do like a really simple package for him to get to start off.
He's smart though. He's be able to pick it up. He's a smart kid, and he's a very similar skill set to Carson Wentz. He's more mobile than Wentz is, but that's a mobile guy with a big arm. Accuracy is suspect. They're like the same guy, except Mariota is a little bit more mobile.
So what would it take? Because it's valuable to have a backup in Marcus. It's like Derek Carr doesn't miss. He gets hurt a lot, but he rarely misses games, right? Yeah. In 7 seasons, he's missed like
4 games, I think.
4 games, right? That's crazy, right? Especially consider some of the terrible lines that he's had over, early in his career. Like that's pretty impressive, right? So it's not, you don't desperately need him, but God, that's a great cushion. Like it's not like 2016 when he broke his leg, ironically against the Colts. We're like, season's over. Okay.
Well, that's why he gets the ball out so quick. He had to learn to do it. He had to learn to get the ball out fast.
You want to get that ankle snapped again. If we can get a second, 100% do it. A third, probably still.
No, a third still 100% do it.
Probably still pretty good. And then we'll finally find out why Gruden's been keeping Nathan Peterman around. He's like, I feel like Nathan Peterman's like a stray cat, and Gruden just keeps leaving like a little saucer of milk out for him. It's like, why do you have this cat always coming to this house? It's pissing around everywhere. He stings. I think it's pregnant. We're gonna have kittens everywhere. Gruden just keeps giving the saucer out. Nathan Peterman keeps sticking around.
I think he likes to say with his Ohio accent, Peterman. Nathan Peterman.
Good enough reason for me.
Nathan Peterman.
Speaking of front offices.
It's weird. Something going on over there, man.
There's something in the water in Vegas. There's something in the tequila in Vegas because there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
From the Las Vegas Review-Journal today, Raiders part way with not one, not two, 3 more front office executives. And executives. I'm not talking about like secretaries or the dude that gets the bagels. Like we remember, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, the president, the president of the Raiders, retired out of nowhere.
Dang.
Right after heading right into preseason.
Which was, we talked about it. It's a little strange.
But now there's a mass exodus.
Yeah.
Brandon Dahl, the Raiders vice president of strategy and business development.
So he's the right-hand man, Dane's right-hand man.
Gone. Ed Villanueva and Araxi Grant also gone. Villanueva was the club's CFO, chief financial officer. Grant was the club's controller. So we're talking about
all the money guys.
This is easily, as far as pure front office, like suits, like not Gruden, not Mark Davis, but like the suits. These are 4 of the 6 most powerful positions in the Raiders organization.
Yeah, those are
a corporate structure.
It's good money to work with money, and these are all money guys. So I'm worried with the respect that this just screams if Mark is anything like Al in this respect, where he wants to do what he wants to do and he wants everyone to be on board.
Mm-hmm.
If those guys were like the checks and balances type of thing, because I mean, Mark Davis just moved to Vegas and he buys a fucking WNBA franchise. That's not very good business when you don't have any fans in the seats. You know what I'm saying? You're not making any money off the stadium that you built.
Yeah.
And from all accounts, that was one of the little sticking points where they weren't really keen on him doing that. It just seems like they're getting overruled, or they're probably getting overruled a lot on a lot of the more sound, what they feel is more sound and maybe more conservative financial decisions. And Mark Davis is like the crazy, rich owner who just wants to do a bunch of wild stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's not the case, but it sounds like it, because when all the money guys take off at the same time and the owner is walking around with a leather white man purse and leather white belt,
you want to stick around just for the fashion advice. You know what I mean? Maybe not the driving tips, but how about some fashion sense? So look, I look at it a different way. I mean, when these guys have been around for a while, right? Like now that, but Dane was there for 30 years, obviously. All these other guys generally have been there for a while.
7, 6,
7
8,
years, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not like this is new and they're like, oh, wow. It's not like Mark Davis all of a sudden went crazy.
Well, they never had money before.
They still don't.
Well,
yet,
they potentially have more money, but the thing is
they're sitting on equity, but they don't.
Yeah,
have
exactly,
cash.
exactly. And
so this is what I think it is, right? So it's like, this is very common in corporate structures, where when there's a new leader at the top, there's a new CFO or a new CEO, a new president, he wants to put his boys in the rank and file. Like he wants to do things, he wants to shake things up. And now that Dan Ventrelli is now like in there on the interim basis, what do you do like every good tyrant when you're on the cusp of accumulating power? You put your boys in all the other positions of power.
I got money now.
This feels to me like, and this is just pure speculation, I'm not in the building, but this is how it works with a lot of other corporations. This is how it works whenever
it works in sports. You get a new manager, a new coach, and he wants his guys.
And a balance of power, right? To keep that, because remember, he's just the interim president right now. But if he can replace all these executives with his guys, that would really solidify him in his spot. Because now he's got the support of all the money guys.
It'd be hard to get rid of him because you have to get a whole new staff now.
Yep.
No, yeah, it makes sense.
And that's the really pessimistic way to view it. But the part that makes the pessimistic way to view it make sense is that the Raiders have made no comment on this. Like if it was all hunky-dory and there's like, hey, we just like this president. I always said when he retired, I would retire. So, okay, now it's my time to go. C'est la vie. It's been great. That would have been like announced bigger. It would have been like Mark Davis would have had a comment. Like there would have been more to it. As of now, in all fairness, this is all happening in real time. Like we're recording this on Wednesday
5 hours ago.
It's like 5 hours. This is like this afternoon. Okay. So maybe we'll do like an emergency show like later this week when more information comes out. But that makes me lean more pessimistic. Now, optimistically, it could just simply be that like that's just how it works in corporate structures. Is when
that's how it works with the Raiders. Nobody says shit.
Yeah. They're pretty tight.
On the way in or on the way out. Like when Amy Trask was a huge hire. The first woman executive. She was the fucking president. She was running the show, the money person. You didn't hear shit until she was hired.
Yeah.
So it's like they're very tight-lipped on the way in and on the way out. So, I mean, that hasn't changed.
So optimistically, just because there's all these changes and all these shakeups, it could be a good thing. It could be a fantastic thing. It could be like, hey, here's a bunch of go-getters, bunch of Harvard MBAs, bunch of smart guys. Like,
well, we talked about that, about them not bringing in some new, fresh meat and not just the old heads who've been there.
Mm-hmm. A lot of really qualified like Ivy Leaguers will take jobs that pay like a little less, maybe a little less prestige. Maybe, you're not working at like a Google VP to work in sports.
A cooler job,
right?
Fun,
like, when you're talking about like the elite of our society, right? People that come for money, people that go to the Ivy League schools, people that have their pick of jobs,
like you and I,
like us, right? Classy, sleeveless shirt wearing motherfuckers. Sometimes they come from like old money, and they don't really care if they make $700,000 a year or $875,000. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not a big difference. It's not a giant deal to them. So like, hey, fuck that. I'm going to go work for the Raiders. I'm going to live in Las Vegas.
Yeah, right.
Work at this brand new stadium and be an NFL executive and tell all my buddies who I am and like show off like my box seats to the chicks I'm trying to bang in town. Like you could get really, really good, overqualified people to work in sports. And so again, optimistically, this could be a chance for them to hire a whole bunch of new, like, heavy hitters, young guns, new energy. Yeah. Who knows? And again, like it's not 100% directly related to the play on the field. It's not like losing your head coach, offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, TV coach. It's not exactly that direct of an effect on what you see on the field, but there is always a connection to the culture and capability of the front office and how the rest of the organizations run and how it trickles down from there.
Yeah, it all works together. I just want one of those young execs to be like, baby, listen, is it my fault that the Crazy Horse 2 makes a really, really good roast beef sandwich?
No.
I go for the roast beef sandwiches, and they have great drink specials during the day.
Thank God Hooters has as good of a wings as they do. So when you say you're going there for the wings, like it's a legit reason. Like I'm down for those wings. Like ever since Rock Bottom here in Long Beach went out of business and disappeared, it's like the Hooters might have the best wings in town now.
Legends too. Legends are good.
Legends ain't bad.
Hooters has really good fucking Arnold Palmer too. Their freaking lemonade and iced tea mix. I don't really drink alcohol, but their mix is.
It's just a great functional place to eat because they give you that whole entire paper towel roll.
Yeah.
You can just rip that off. Like, oh, excuse me, miss, can I get some more of your cloth napkins? No, just rip off 8 things of those paper towel rolls.
Always got a game on.
All done. Yeah, game's on.
They're not trying to be something they're not. Look at my tits.
Yeah.
Look at my ass. Fucking, say some fucking borderline HR.
Come sit in the booth with us. Rub your right cheek against my left cheek. You'll get your big tip. We'll have fun. Go home, jerk off. It's a great night. Fantastic night.
Table.
So that's the executives that the Raiders lost. Raiders lost some players. They lost.
This is a little weird too.
Now these ones make a little bit more sense to me. Maybe you're onto something and I'm not, but these ones make more sense to me. So the Raiders lost 3 players leading into their first preseason game next week. Sam Young retired this week. Journeyman veteran, 34-year-old tackle, gone. James Oluwalu retired. Linebacker that rarely saw the field, didn't even suit up every time.
Yeah, he was healthy scratches regularly.
Yeah, I mean, but he's only 26, so that was kind of weird. And then Theo Reddick, this one makes the most sense. Theo Reddick, because
making a lot of money. He wasn't going to see the field. He's probably going to get cut. Maybe he didn't want to go through the whole thing again.
And he just got COVID. Remember, like that was the thing. Like he got COVID. He's like, okay, I've made my money. I'm older. Like running backs, like at this age, like they're just hanging on by a thread. Like he's waking up every morning, ice bath, like painkiller. Like, okay, here we getting too old for this goddamn shit, right?
Sam Young was kind of weird because he had just resigned. He was a free agent. He just resigned, and then he didn't make it out of camp.
So Riddick makes a ton of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Aluwalu, is that how you pronounce it?
Damn,
James Aluwalu. He retired, but he was like the most irrelevant. But you're right. Like the third one in a row
that's weird.
Is the most curious one. Sam Young. I mean, again, 34. It could easily be just nagging injuries.
He was hurt a lot.
Hurt a lot. I mean, the Raiders practice at 7 a.m. to beat the Heat, but by 9:30, it's 100 degrees outside.
Oh yeah.
It's you know 100 what? Degrees out there.
Vegas is gonna make sure it ain't Napa. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Vegas is gonna make sure if you want to play, if you want to be there or not. Because if you're having a little bit of doubt, that sun beating on your neck, that'll make it happen.
Yeah. The optimistic way to look at it, and kind of the way I think of it too, is maybe like Sam Young just sees like he's like, all right, here's my last chance. I'm going to try to be a starter. You know, there's a rookie at right tackle. Our left tackle, like he's had a little bit of an injury history. Maybe Colt Miller's out and I can find my spot. And then maybe he's just getting in there with Leatherwood. And I know the Raiders are high on Jared Jones-Smith, that other tackle that they brought on.
Yeah.
Maybe he's seeing these two young bucks and he's like,
nope,
I'm never going to see the field.
I'm never going to see the field.
Why am I here?
Yeah, I'm going to bang my head against these guys all year and never see the field. I don't want to do it. Yeah, that initially, that's what I thought of with Sam Young. Is he's like, hey, you know what? Let's get this go at it again. Go one more time and see if I can hit the field. You know, and be a contributor. With the more competition on the team that we have at different positions.
Yep.
He's just like, you know what? I'm not going to hit the field. I'm just going to sail off into the sunset, make it on my own terms.
So I think the only guy upset with two of those retirees, Riddick and Young, is Gruden because of how much he loves old guys. You know,
he loves them.
So like although our running back core doesn't really need a veteran I call it like the Jason Witten role, where you're just like a veteran, good locker room guy that's just taking up space just to bring up the young guys. Running backs don't really need it. Jacobs, third year, doing great. Kenyon Drake, veteran. Jalen Richard, veteran, right? Like, you don't really need a guy. It's always nice to have that in your locker room in general, but you don't need it in that specific room. In the offensive line room, Richie Incognito is going to be the leader now. Colt Miller's becoming a leader now. There's a lot of familiar faces in there. Like,
good.
Yeah. Is Young going to be like that big of a deal? No, but it does feel like I can see John Gruden being like, damn it. My super young team is just getting younger and younger and younger because all of these veterans are bouncing.
Yeah.
What does it mean for depth and all that?
Brandon Parker
is now kind of sorta your number one swing tackle, right?
He's not bad on the left side, man, but on that right tackle side, he's not good.
Hopefully, Jones Smith plays as well. Like is as good as like the, coaches are saying. And again, we say it almost every single show, but like if any position coach deserves the benefit of the doubt, it's Tom Cable.
I trust him. So
he can coach these guys up. He can move them around. He can put that offensive line together with duct tape and baling wire and make something out of it.
Yeah.
Again, they weren't that great last season, but for how injured they were, they played pretty good.
Yeah.
Linebacker, he barely saw the field. No big deal.
Nah.
Running back is also not an issue either because, look, Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, Jalen Richard. Jacobs makes the least out of the three of them, right? Like Richard's making $3.5 million coming up this season. And I don't even know who, Garrett Groshek in the depth chart. I don't even know who that is. So that's our number 4. That's our number 4 running back. I don't even know who he is. The 4th running back can literally just be like a practice squad guy or literally someone you pick up in like undrafted free agent, like off the couch. Like It's so easy to find cheap running backs. And Alec Ingold could fill in too. You know what I mean? If Jacobs goes down, Drake goes down, and it's just like Richard, like Ingold can pick up a lot of that slack too. So I'm not worried. The last thing I'm worried about on the Raiders roster is running back depth. That might be the thing I'm least worried about in the entire squad. Speaking of depth
and old guys,
so like the average age of the Raiders went up a little bit here. He's not that old. Gerald McCoy, multi-time Pro Bowler, missed all of last season with injury. 33 years old, defensive tackle. I couldn't find the terms of the contract.
I don't think they're released yet.
I didn't see anywhere. I don't know if it's released.
He just signed this afternoon.
It'll just signed today on Wednesday when we're recording it. I mean, if it's like the rest of the defensive tackle lines where it's like 1.5 mil, 2 mil with maybe some incentives, great. Roll the dice, low risk, high reward, because he was a baller when he was in his prime.
Dude, even his last healthy year in 19, he had 35 tackles and 5 sacks. If he does that here, he's going to be by far our best defensive tackle, our most productive defensive tackle. And he's shown that when he gets playing time, and he played all 16 games, started every single game for the Panthers that year. He signed a big contract with the Cowboys, and he got hurt. It shit happens, so he looked in great shape. From what I read, he just knocked the Raiders' socks off. He looked in great shape. He looked nice and quick. And hell, man, if he could come back, and look, when you don't draft very well and you don't build your team from within, you don't build quality starters from your draft, you have to take flyers on guys like this. Guys are coming off injury, guys who may be on the downswing of their career. Maybe if you put them in a specific role, they'll be productive. But this is the kind of signing that can really tip the scales in the favor of the Raiders' defensive line as opposed to the opposing offensive line. He's a guy that needs to be accounted for. He was a big-time player, a guy that needed to be double-teamed, one of the top defensive tackles. He's more of a pass-rushing defensive tackle.
From 2012 to 2017, he made 6 straight Pro Bowls.
Yeah. Dude was a baller, man. And he's a little bit older now and coming off injury, but, coming off an injury, working on his conditioning, working on his shape, he should be pretty good. He looked like he was in good shape. And like I said, if he's anything like he was in 19, it's going to be a great win for the Raiders.
Cowboys signed him after he was cut.
He was a cap casualty, by the way. It wasn't because of his play.
Well, they signed him to a pretty decent deal. Got hurt, cut him. That was 2 seasons ago, all out last season while he was recovering, floating around. No one picked him up for whatever reason. Now they got him here. It's just so funny to me that completely opposite approaches that the Raiders had with defensive tackle versus defensive end. With defensive end, there's like biggest splash signing, Yannick Ngakoue. Bam, here's $22 million, 2-year deal. You're basically guaranteed at least 8 sacks this season. Having Ngakoue, just bam, big money. We know what your job is. One guy we sign, go. Defensive tackle, they're like, all right, here's 34 guys. Hopefully a couple of them land. You know what I'm saying? It's like when I go to the casino, there's like a lot. I really like blackjack because I'm such a conservative, boring bettor, because you're never gonna win huge, but you're also probably not gonna lose 30 hands in a row, right? Win, lose, win, lose, double down, win. It's pretty safe, and you're kind of safe and progressing. And then there's Keno, where it's $2 and I'm trying to win $10,000, but the odds are tiny, right? I feel like instead of them, Yannick Ngakoue is the blackjack, where it's safe bet, gonna deliver, you'll be good. And then the Raiders at defensive tackle, they're just all right, I'm just gonna buy 50 lottery tickets.
Yeah.
And hopefully one of them cashes in for me.
Solomon Thomas, Quentin Jefferson, like all these dudes who used to be ballers, who
Yep.
I mean, maybe not Solomon Thomas, but guys who were, good players. We'll see, man. I mean, the Ngakoue made a lot of sense for a couple reasons. The Raiders wanted him for a few years. He just couldn't get the deals done. And he's a Gus Bradley.
And it was a great deal, dude. For
2
years for what he's guaranteed to deliver. Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. And it was the biggest need that we had on the team was rushing the passer, and that's his specialty, what he does. So,
and Bradley needs that. That's why these two signings are huge. And I'm going under the assumption that McCoy is going to be fine and healthy. If he plays like he plays after his first couple of years, when he didn't really play well his first couple of years, but after that, it's been like 5 sacks. It's been his least amount of sacks he's had in a year. So if Gus Bradley, his defense revolves around being able to get pressure with your front four and not blitzing. Yeah. So if you need to have a defensive tackle that can rush the quarterback. So it's perfect fit.
And Bradley needs a lot of bodies because he wants those guys fresh, right?
He does. He rotates them. You're going to play. Like,
end is figured out, right? Like you got, Ngakoue, Crosby as your 2 starters. Hopefully Nassib gets his act together, plays up to his $9 million deal.
Those are the 4 guys.
Farrell's an above average end on running downs. He's fine there. Rotating those guys in that defensive tackle. Bradley's like, all right, just give me all these options, and then I'll cut it down to my top 5 guys, and we're just gonna rotate those boys.
Yeah, high
motors, high energy. If whatever they don't have in like skill or football ability, we're gonna make up in cardio and just rock.
Yep.
Which it's for a defense as bad as the Raiders, it's a good time to experiment, right?
Yeah, right.
Nothing's worked in the last 20 years. Let's try this.
Pin your ears back and get the running back on the way to the quarterback.
Just show me a motor. That'll get you on the field. We'll go from there. Support for the Autumn Windbags is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped.
Wow.
With this exclusive offer just for Windbag listeners, 20% off. That's $20 out of $100. That's 20 cents out of $1. And free worldwide shipping with the code Windbags at manscaped.com. So I'm hopping on a plane tomorrow to go to Houston to work the UFC event, Black Beast versus Surreal Gone paper.
That's guaranteed swamp ass right there. Houston.
I got to make sure I am trimmed down there. Probably will check out some Houston strip clubs as well.
Oh shit!
So
yeah,
I got to make sure I'm good down there. So I'm thinking, all right, sweet. I'll bring my Manscaped. I'll make sure I'm nice and trim. Wait a minute. We've all seen Fight Club. Do I want to bring an electric razor on a plane with me?
Don't do it.
Because if it clicks on, they're going to be like, oh, someone's got a vibrator or a bomb or something wrong. Little trick with the Manscaped. You click the button 3 times. It goes into travel mode. So you have to click it 3 times again to get it back on. 0% chance it'll just bump in my luggage, turn on, start vibrating. People think I have a vibrating butt plug back there. Nope. Best possible shaver to travel with. It works great at home, even better on the road.
Perfect. With the weather heating up, guys, gotta keep your situation trimmed down there. I've tried a couple other things. I've tried the old school freaking razor. I've tried using the hair clippers down there. It just didn't work out. The Manscaped works great. I love the freaking 2 things. I love the light, really helps out, and you can use it in the shower, which is a game changer for me. That's where I do a lot of my my work.
Beating off. Oh yeah, shaving. Yeah,
that too.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code Windbags at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code Windbags. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. So one of the least fun debates that goes on in football now is the value of running backs, because I see no gray area so often. It's become such a polarizing topic.
Yeah.
Either running backs are a dime a dozen, they're completely useless, never ever pay them, don't even bother drafting them, don't worry about it, or like, these are the guys that can change our offense. These are the guys that touch the ball as much as almost anybody. These are the guys who could change the direction of our franchise. And so when Nick Chubb from the Browns, one of the best running backs in football, behind one of the best lines in football, who we will be playing this season, when we go into Cleveland, are we coming?
No, we're going to Cleveland again.
We're going to Cleveland, right? So we got an away. So we got away game last season in Cleveland, away game this season in Cleveland. They're not a problem for us because he held those motherfuckers to 6 points, if you remember last year. But everyone else might have to worry about Nick Chubb. $33 million deal. So a little quick breakdown for you. 3-year deal through 2024. Signing bonus, $12 million. Nice chunk of change. And then his base salary, less than $1 million, and then $3 million, $1.2 million, and then $10.8 million. So
that's cut year right there.
That's the cut year right there, right? So that's why it's always like, oh, what is it really? I mean, it's really only guaranteed $17 million for the first 2 years. That's basically like the true guaranteed money for Nick Chubb. But still, you know,
$17 million.
$17 million for over 2 years. That's pretty good money. So that made me think, like, okay, we're gonna have to pay Josh Jacobs at some point, or don't we? What does this tell you about what the running back market is, what it will be, and what it means for our bell cow first-round pick, Josh Jacobs?
I think that universally this has been true throughout the NFL. Teams are willing to pay running backs if they're like the elite level running back.
Yeah.
That's when they'll pay them. Even if, like, for example, for us, if Josh Jacobs is elite to us, he's not elite for the league. And we know we can find I mean, he's very good. I'm not saying he's not. He's a very good running back, but he's not an Alvin Kamara. He's not a Christian McCaffrey. Or a Nick Chubb, or help me out here. My favorite one, Derrick Henry. He's not one of those top 4 guys. He's not. Those are the 4 that you need to pay.
Yeah,
those 4 guys, and I think that's it. Everyone else gets a Drake-ish type deal, and that's what you should. And that's what you should get.
I like how Kenyon Drake is like your standard bearer for a contract, and he's our backup. Like, yeah, that's super Raiders for us, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I think. Jacobs is going to get a similar deal, maybe a little bit more because he's a starter or he's been here longer or whatever, but he's going to get a similar deal to that, maybe a 3-year, something like that, maybe around instead of 3.5-ish he'll make maybe like closer to 4, maybe a bigger signing bonus or something like that, but it's not going to be anything close to this. If they do, it's fucking nuts. Yeah. Fucking nuts if you do that.
So if there's any coach that's going to do something nuts with the running back,
it's Gruden.
John Gruden, right? Drafted a running back in the first round, highest paid backup running back in football. I think Jalen Richard has to be the highest paid third string running back.
He's by far the highest paid third stringer.
$3.5 million. I mean, and again, it's like Richard's obviously fantastic, right? Best blocking back, great out of the backfield, great pass catcher, great leader. Like,
he ain't anything special as far as across the league.
Nothing. I mean, like, the $3.5 million for what he's doing, I'd be like, all right, great backup running back. Really solid. Love it as our number 2 guy. Number 3 guy behind a first rounder and an expensive 2-year deal with Kenyon Drake. Our running back room is getting really, really expensive. So with that aside, right, let's say between now and maybe after next season, they can make a decision on Jacobs, but at least, at least one more season, probably 2. We got to make a decision on what to do with Josh Jacobs. Assuming by then John Gruden kind of figures life out, or like someone buys him an Excel spreadsheet and a calculator, like tells him how dollars work. Let's say he does the smart thing. Like all these big contracts signed by all these running backs, how many teams have actually been happy with that signing? I'm looking up the top 5 biggest running back contracts ever. This is after, before Nick Chubb, right? Outside of Chubb, the top 5 running back deals ever. Adrian Peterson, remember the $96 million deal?
That was huge.
Massive. 7 years, huge deal. The Vikings didn't pick up his last option because he was falling apart, right? Le'Veon
The
Bell.
Vikings also gave him like 300 touches a year too.
Yeah, they ran him ragged, right? They were getting
their money's worth out. That's like going to a Chinese buffet. Like, motherfucker, I'm gonna get MSG poisoning up this motherfucker.
Yeah, except for a Chinese buffet, you're paying $7.95, and you're still like, all right, I'm gonna try to make money on this. I'm gonna get $20 worth of Kung Pao chicken on this $8 I spent on this
crab leg night. You're spending $20.
Yeah. The fourth biggest deal, Le'Veon Bell. Remember that 4-year, $52 million deal?
Crazy.
That was nuts. No way the Jets were happy that they bailed out Pittsburgh. There's no way they were happy with that deal. Todd Gurley with the Rams, that completely fell apart.
That was a fake deal, though, dude. That was like a just for show type of deal because they got rid of
like
them quick.
$45 million ish in guaranteed ties. Like, not again, it was complicated, but it didn't even get close to that to be.
It wasn't even 2 full years. He didn't have 2 full years.
Gurley still thinks he's owed money on it. Like, he's like, that's how like complex and how like quick it was done, right? Ezekiel Elliott, 6 years, $90 million. You think the Cowboys are happy with that deal? No way, Jose.
Hey, well, I just looked at something real quick. Latavius Murray signed a 4-year, $14.4 million contract. That's $3.4 million a year. And Latavius Murray is a whole hell of a lot more productive than Jalen Richard.
Yeah. But different, but he's like he's not as complimentary to what Jacobs does as Richard does, right? Like, he's not the great, like, perfect third down back type of thing. But you're right, like, he's better. And now the most expensive contract, Christian McCaffrey, who spent all of last season in rehab. So you look at the top 5 deals, the top 5 contracts by running backs, and like ever, I would say maybe half of one made sense. All the other ones, Christian McCaffrey, it's still too early to tell, but he's injury prone and he's making a ton of money.
Well, I wouldn't say he's injury prone. He got injured 1 year. He got injured. Mm-hmm. The other years, he was a fucking stud. So let's not hang on him just yet. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
So 3 of them just fell apart. Peterson, Bell, Gurley, they completely fell apart.
Peterson fell apart after they used him.
They got some money out of him.
They got their money's worth out of his ass. I'm not saying they didn't.
Elliott, there's no way the Cowboys are happy with what they're paying.
No.
And then the jury's still out on Christian McCaffrey. So the history of these big running back contracts don't look great. They really
That's why you don't do it. That's why you don't do it, man.
And especially Nick Chubb, $33 million. When you got Kareem Hunt as your backup, you got the best line in football. Like, not the best line in football, like one of the best lines.
Top 3, top 4, yeah.
Way up there, right? So again, rewinding this all the way back to how does it affect the Raiders? I've been saying it literally for as long as this has been a podcast, as long as we've been on YouTube. I don't want to pay Josh Jacobs, and I don't think we should because it just never works out. And this isn't a anti-running back, never draft them, they're trash. No, but if you're a first rounder, Pro Bowler, and rush into 1,000 yards or so a season, you're going to ask for a $30-40 million contract. And
no, you don't even give him 20.
The Raiders, I think, should trade
$5 million a year.
The Raiders, I think, should trade him after this season. Hopefully, he has an amazing season. Trade him for a buttload of picks. Trade him for, you know what I mean? Like, we'll have Kenyon Drake again next season. We'll have Richard next season. You're telling me we can't, for a fourth the money of what we'd have to pay Jacobs, get someone that plays 80% as well?
Well, I'm saying try to work out. Try to do a Colton Miller where you extend him a year early.
Yeah.
And try to get him to a good contract for the team. Hopefully what they did with Miller is they keep that first year the same as it would have been if they didn't extend him early and then have them extra money kick in after that. If you can't do that, yeah, I agree. If you can't, and before everyone starts going fucking nuts with their emails and their comments and all this shit, I'm not saying the Raiders need to get rid of Jacobs or he's not good or he's washed up or whatever. If you can't sign him during this year or after this year, if you can't sign him to a club-friendly extension, you have to look at getting some compensation back for him. Because I'm he's not an elite of the elite type running back that you need to give this type of money to.
Again, I love Josh Jacobs. I'm so happy he's a Raider. riding with him. No complaints whatsoever.
Great story, hard worker,
but the
guy.
Raiders have to start understanding value. They have to start understanding what a draft pick is worth. Not, oh, this means I can go get my guy. No, it doesn't mean that. Like, if I have $100 and I invest in mutual funds and I get $113 back, that's smart use. If I have $100 and I go shove it into the butthole of a stripper, that doesn't mean that $100 is now worthless. It just means I spent it poorly. Josh Jacobs, you've got to sell high, buy low, right? We're buying low with all these defensive tackles, hoping it lands. I have no issues with any of them. Low risk, high reward. Josh Jacobs, same thing we did with Amari Cooper, same thing we did with Khalil Mack. When the market says to keep this guy, you have to pay him Cooper $20 million a year. You have to pay Khalil Mack. You make Khalil Mack one of the highest paid defensive players ever. When the market says that's what they're worth, but they're not worth it to you, you got to move on from them when their value's the highest. And when Josh Jacobs' value the highest will be after a really, really great season this season. Hopefully he goes the entire season without getting hurt. He's splitting carries with, Drake now. He's still got Rashard, whatever, and this whatever practice squad dude that's now the 4-string running back. The line gets their act together. He plays well, right? Like if he shows great, he's playing great again. He's got 3 back-to-back seasons of really good play. His value is high, still on his rookie deal. He's still young. Remember, he didn't get beat up in Alabama like a lot of college running backs because he was even the starter at Alabama, right? So teams can say, oh, here's a fresh guy, a veteran guy. He knows what he's doing. He thrived in Las Vegas, of all places, on the Raiders. That's when you make your move. That's when you trade, when the value is high. And sometimes that's also when you could use him. But that's the whole point. Like if he was worthless to you, he'd be worthless to most people. That's when you make your move, when the value is high. And especially when you're not going to pay a guy like Josh Jacobs $11 million a year or something, like if that's what the market dictates.
Yeah, so I agree with you, but there's certain positions when you have an elite player that separates themselves. Like a Khalil Mack, I still don't think we should have traded him. We should have figured out a way to pay him because he's an elite player. He's still an elite player. And you don't have a big jumble of guys who are like, oh, these guys are all about the same. If you get number 6, 7 running back in the league, he's about the same as the 15th, 16th, 20th guy. Like those guys are all about the same, just, a different system, a better line, stuff like that. They're going to produce about the same. So that's the difference is you can find guys at running back to produce, to be productive a lot easier than you can find guys like a Khalil Mack.
Yeah. Khalil Mack's the
that should always it still stings to say his name. It still stings. Like I feel like I got broken up with.
That's the high school cheerleader that you banged when you were in high school, like the captain of the cheerleading team, and you peaked in high school, and then she's like, now she's gone, married to some
I'm not going to say her name,
Morgan Stanley,
but I hooked up with a freaking chick in high school.
No, you didn't.
Everyone would have been shocked, absolutely shocked, that this chick was like a good 5 levels up, and I never said anything because I'm not that kind of guy.
She had a dick.
Listen, she had a sweet dick. But dude, I felt like I got broken. Like Mac broke up with me. That's what I feel like.
It did. It was a breakup, but I still think it was the right move for the fucking treasure trove of picks and cap space we got. Now we didn't use those picks well, but we got the treasure trove that we needed. We got time to do this defensive ranking, or do you want to go right to Windbags?
Let's do the defensive ranking.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So the Athletic. It's where I go for most of my
kicked us in the dick again.
The Athletic did the rankings of all the defenses heading into 2021. And, rankings are fun. It's a good conversation starter. It's a good way to discuss stuff. And they ranked the Raiders the 27th defense expected to be in 2021. So obviously the Raiders were at best 30th defense last year. Could easily have been the worst. Could easily have been 32.
Hey man,
depending on what metric you used.
Without that fucking that weird fucking Browns game, we could have easily been 32nd.
Yeah. Holding the Browns to 6 that one time, and then those 2 halves that we held the Chiefs scoreless.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
That's crazy. The weird glimpses of greatness that we showed in very, very specific moments. A blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then, right?
Yeah.
So they ranked us 27th heading into 2021, which is an improvement. Although albeit
I would take that.
Albeit a minor one. Here's what Capadia had to say from The Athletic. Gus Bradley comes from the Pete Carroll tree, and if history is any indication, he'll employ a cover 3 scheme that will count on a 4-man pass rush to get home. Bradley will be tasked with getting linebacker Corey Littleton to make more plays than he did last year, and he'll have to find a role for safety Jonathan Abram that masks his coverage limitations. On paper, the Raiders are talented enough to be better than this ranking reflects. I've been duped before and need to see it to believe it.
I 100% agree.
So this is where she nailed it, right? We say it every week. The potential of this defense is higher than where they've been, than any other in relation to where they've played, than any defense in football. No defense has the talent, the experience, the resume, the draft pick order, the raw ability that the Raiders have, and still be as terrible as the Raiders have been. So I can understand with what the Athletic is saying. It's like, okay, your defense isn't that much different than it was last season personnel wise, and you were trash. So why am I always trying to hope, pray, and guess that you're going to be improved? To which I say, again, for the millionth time, our entire season comes down to, can Gus Bradley turn this defense full of expensive free agents and first rounders into something that's remotely competent? That's what it all comes down to. All our hopes and dreams, our entire season, which is now 17 games long, all comes down to, can Gus Bradley turn this motley crew into something that can stop a guy every now and then?
I see Corey Littleton playing better than he did last year, just because he's going to have a more defined role. Because the one thing that we don't talk about as far as Gunther's scheme, he was mixing coverages and mixing schemes as far as his responsibilities for the players, and everything was available. So you could have one type of responsibility or scheme on one play, and another play you could have something totally different to do.
Yeah.
And that's not really how Gus Bradley runs his defense. He runs his defense as a little bit more vanilla, but you know what to expect. You know what you need to do if you're on a Gus Bradley defense. Jonathan Abram, from what I've read, he's going to play the undersized linebacker role, which is, fine with me. Keep him out of coverage, deep coverage at least. But like I said, there's too many question marks to be able to say, oh, yeah, this is going to be the 20th ranked defense. I think it's fair. I do think 27 is low, and I think maybe it's low for me because I don't want them to be 27. But realistically, yeah, there's a lot of question marks here.
If this was a court of law, I could not present to you. Oh, the Raiders flag went down behind you. That's a bad sign. That is bad luck. Go fix that sign.
Fuck that shit.
Go right now. I'll carry the show. You go fix that, Soto. Don't put that bad juju on me, Soto. You don't put that bad juju on this show. You fix that sign. I'm going to get you a nail gun. You're going to make sure that's definitely on there tight. So you didn't hear me, but I'm going to get you a nail gun to make sure that never happens again. That is a bad sign. It's like spitting on the Constitution, having that Raider banner go down mid show.
God damn it.
I completely lost my train of thought because I flipped out. What up, Windbags?
Let's do
it. Sean Tuttle. Gunther is the senior defensive assistant for the Minnesota Vikings currently. So last week, oh no, we're talking about Gunther. And we're like, oh yeah, wherever he is,
no one's gonna give him a job,
right? He's like he's like being the water boy for some Pop Warner team or something like that. And when like an ex-girlfriend that you really miss, you like check out their Facebook. You still follow them on Instagram. You still when you drive by their house, you kind of look every now and then. The ex-girlfriend you don't care about, you don't do any of that. Gunther is the ex-girlfriend that I don't care about. Right. I did find out where he is. It literally took. I did not want to spend the 9 seconds of time it would take to just Google search where he is now.
I didn't do any fact checking on this either. I didn't look. I was like, all right, cool, he's there.
He's gone.
It makes sense. Zimmer's the head coach. He has a background with him with the Bengals. He maybe has a sex tape on Zimmer, so he gave him a job. I don't know what the fuck.
Yep. All the other, like most of the other Raiders, I'm kind of like the good ex-girlfriend. I'm always wondering how Khalil Mack's doing. Always keeping up with Amari Cooper. You brought up one of our running backs a minute ago. Like I like to
the Tate train.
I like that when I hear their name, my ears perk up. Like, oh, how they doing? Because rarely they didn't leave under shitty circumstances. Like, oh, I hope they're doing well. Paul Gunther, I'm not even wasting energy to like wish him bad in whatever he's doing. I'm just
he can be the president of the United States, or he can be living in a ditch. I don't give a shit.
I wouldn't know, wouldn't care. Thank you, Sean Tuttle, for pointing that out. Ryan Guns.
Ooh, I love that name, Ryan Guns.
That's why I'm wearing the sleeveless, because Ryan Gun Show is in the house. Is it a stretch to say the secondary will easily be the most improved unit this year? I think not. I love this debate, and maybe we should have saved it for like a full segment. But I love this topic because I will say that no unit has more potential to improve the most than DBs. But I still think the linebacking crew is going to be our best unit yet, because maybe just hopeful thinking. I have to imagine Corey Littleton, when he's no longer in a complex Paul Gunther system, he's able just to be him. Let Gus Bradley let him run loose will be great. They finally committing to Nicholas Morrow. Morrow's been like one of the most consistent defenders on our team for multiple seasons.
And they're getting better every year.
And now and he's getting better every year. And they're finally like, oh yeah, this undrafted dude, this like Division III college guy is actually pretty good. Let's play him. Right. And so I think they're in the best position to improve the most, because they've showed the most signs of improving the most. The ceiling for the DBs are through the roof. But again, like, what sign have they showed us that they're going to improve? Right now, it's just hoping they fulfill their potential without much evidence.
So here's the deal. Ryan responded to to us kind of turning our nose up at Gruden, saying that the secondary is going to be the strength of our defense. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a different argument. So he did something really sneaky there. He slipped in a different argument. So is it a stretch to say that the secondary will easily be the most improved unit? Well, I think they very well will be, because they only have to be competent to make the biggest leap.
Yeah.
They just have to be okay, and they've made the biggest leap from god awful to just okay. If they're just okay, then they made the biggest leap.
If Jonathan Abrams only the second worst safety in football, he's made an improvement.
Hey, it's one up. One up.
All you got to do is improve a little bit. Last one, Chris Briggs.
There's some good names today,
right? Briggs, Guns, Tuttle. At year 8, you are who you are, because this is who you said. This is what you were saying about Derek Carr, public enemy number 1 in your eyes, the person you hate the most last show. Up. At year 8, you are who you are. Remember Gannon, career journeyman before Oakland, 34 years old, MVP. I feel like this question is directed square on you, Juan Soto the first.
Yes. He's just proving my point. Name another one. How many guys have gotten to that level? He got to that level 1-2 years maybe, and that was it. The other guy you could look at is Kurt Warner.
Yeah,
that's it. There's two. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Who else?
Well, guys can move systems and see big jumps, right? Like, I bet you, like Matthew, like Stafford at the Rams this season, right? Like, what is that going to look like?
Dude, that's his team. His team is so much better than he had with the freaking Lions.
Yeah,
that's just not him. That's the entire organization is a upgrade.
But that's how you judge Derek Carr. Is you shit on Derek Carr because we don't. But
that's not what's happening with Carr. He's not going to a different team. He's here. This is his situation. So if you want to say that Stafford is going to make a huge leap staying with the Lions, then that would be something comparable. This is not the same thing.
What about momentum? Like you're saying you are who you are. Like, he's gotten better and better and better every year under Gruden. So you're saying like those improvements are now going to stop? Like he's reached his ceiling? Is that safe to say?
Well, the thing is,
he's improving every season.
Here's the difficult part about that. How do you measure better? Because his stats were comparable to his 2006. Now, they were better, but comparable to 2016. So that's 4 years. So it took him 4 years to get back to that point. Has he maxed out? How is the offense going to be different? You have a new offensive line, a new running scheme. You have 2 running backs, maybe a more run-heavy offense. Are his stats going to look better? Mm-hmm. We don't know that. But is he going to be a better quarterback? Is he going to be able to command games a little bit better? He's got a little bit more game IQ. Who knows? That's the thing is we have to first define how are you going to define a better season?
Is Derek Carr going to be able to rush the quarterback or cover a running back or play bump and run defense against a wide receiver? Because you're going to judge him by how we do next season, and the defense is going to suck, and you're going to blame it on Derek Carr like you do every season.
No, because that's the same horseshit that a lot of these guys on the freaking comments try to pull. Oh, well, he has this and his defense like this and that. And what the fuck's his name? My freaking my fan club president. He's like, oh, because I said, I'm talking about, someone said something about, oh, well, his defense would be better or whatever. I said, you know what? I'm not talking about wins and losses because now people are going to start mixing arguments. I'm talking about Derek Carr's play. Derek Carr's play is his play. And then whatever, I'm spacing right now. But he said something
Your hatred for Derek Carr is making you see red.
No, it's not that. It's this dude. I forgot. He always kills me on this board, which is fine. I like that you're involved.
He's like a smart guy.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, well, that's great analysis. His play is his play. I'm like, well, yeah, Dick. Oh, yeah, that's his name, Dick. His name's Dick Vitale. So that was fucking perfect. So his name is Dick Vitale. Okay. So
subconsciously, your brain knew who it was. It just needed you to speak in swear words.
Dick, I'm giving you a fucking shout out, Dick Vitale, my fan club president. When you mix arguments like that, you have to be clear on what you're trying to establish as the argument. His stats, are they going to be better? Now, if the defense takes a total shit, but he still plays really well, that's his play. I'm not talking about wins and losses here. I'm talking about his play. That's what I'm talking about.
I never heard you once in 2016 say Derek Carr was an issue because we were winning. And he was better last season than he was in 2016. I'll leave it at that. Until next time, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, Windbags, if you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes this season, don't be afraid to click those subscribe, like, share, and comment buttons. Plus, your comment could be featured in the next What Up, Windbags?